And we're live and on time. That's a great combination for a Friday. Hey, it's Spence. Welcome back. It is Valentine's Day, I think. Isn't it the 14th? Isn't it Valentine's today? Hey, it's Spence. Welcome back. It is got the audio working. It's a good sign whenever that works. It is Valentine's Day, right? You know, I think what happens is it is February 14th, 2025. At a certain age, a certain level of blissfully uh on in your romantic life, Valentine's Day does not take on the meaning that it did when you were younger, or maybe we're just historically more into older sentimental things. I am a big believer in marking the calendar and the days because it gives me a sense of where I've been and where I'm going. But at the same time, lately I've had a real good run of luck. I want to say knock on wood so that I don't jinx it. But I've had a good run of luck of really trying to do things outside of the norms, trying new things, trying new techniques, quantum physics and energy versus matter and space time versus linear time. All these cool concepts I'm open to because I never know what I don't know. And hopefully, many of you feel the same way. In fact, today I'm going to be going into the grab bag of user stuff because I got some great emails I want to share. And I want to use that as the basis for teaching. I also have a few of you who have been with me for some time who, namaste, thank you very much for finally saying uncle, not Uncle Spence, but uncle, to resisting the allure of the force of using the simplicity of the minute launch and what Spence is talking about. Because, you know, I've been there. I've been there. My number one thing in this world, this lifetime at least, is trying to give up control over everything. And sometimes you have to give up the control to find what you really want, which is actually the thing you're looking for, because it needs somebody to help you. It needs somebody to guide the way. It needs you to try something that you're not conditioned to do, which is kind of what I'm talking about myself. So I'm a student as well as a teacher, and we're all on this journey together. So today we're going to talk about the kind of key features, membership and community that really form the basis of a traditional online business site, whether for yourself or for your clients, but also forms the basis of really what we're going to be doing as AI starts to weave into our lives. And I'm going to really quickly just shoot this out to the interwebs, as I like to say. Join us live. We got a good turnout already today. I like the numbers. We are live. Join us now. The concept today is we're going to take the grab bag and I'm going to show you some of the stuff in detail that everybody needs to know and needs to do. And this is nuanced stuff, but it's probably where you're getting hung up if you're already working with this, or it's where you're hung up if you haven't tried it yet. And I'm also going to show you some of the new tools. I've been really coding like a madman. So I've got more on the Fluent community and the Fluent community customizer, launch flows. Okay, so let's dive in. But what I just want to do, and I apologize, I'm just one dude here. I'm just posting this into my socials so that folks who are here can join us. So sorry about that. I know it's like I need a secretary or something to help me out with this, but what am I going to do? Just one dude. And by the way, if you would like, I love it when you guys say hi in the comments. Good morning. Good morning. Say hi. I love it because it shows up. It shows up in the later recording and stuff, and it also helps me understand who's doing what and why. So if you would like to do that for 1 second, I am literally almost there. I just have to do to 3 places, and that's it. By the way, one of the things that is interesting to me is that I actually have a really good methodology, as I'll share today, for how to go about getting attention from content versus using social media in a traditional way or from using paid advertising. Good morning, Ann. Okay, let's dive in. Today, I'm going to start out with I'm going to use the school. I've got some things cooking under here. I'm going to dive in because what we're going to do is I'm going to just grab bag this. And by the way, office hours are for you. So if you have stuff that's on your mind, I don't want you to just be like holding back. Just interrupt me, ask questions. Good morning. Good morning. I think I know who the RVer is. Good morning, Kurt. And by the way, everybody, it's wonderful to see you because I know we've been communicating. So this is like my chance to have you guys put some of your questions up. And I don't try to out anybody. I'm just going to refer to things because everybody here is really smart in their own ways with their own business. I'm just bringing it together into application. All right. So let's start out with the first one. One of the things I want to share is that this is this school site that I have been using as a model for lots of stuff. And you can ignore all of the aesthetics on this. I'm just using this for demonstrative purposes because a lot of people had been using that other school.com, Alex Hermosi and Ben. There was also a lot of people who have been using Circle, SO. A lot of people have been using Mighty Networks, which I always get a kick out of because that's Gina Bianchini. It used to be Ning, where my origin story lies. So there she is. There's Gina. She's really smart. I really admire her as an entrepreneur. The history of us way back when is history, but it was funny at the time because it seems like a different lifetime ago. And she too has finally found some satisfaction, I imagine, from what started out as Ning. Okay, so the basic idea is that under the hood here, I want to show you something. One of the things I created was called the Fluent Community Customizer. Now I'm going to be very meta today. Good morning, Lloyd. Good morning. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for checking in. One of the things that I had created is now officially being sold as a product. I want to start out by saying, if we go to WP Launchify, and I'm being very meta here, I follow what I teach you. I build tools that scratch my itch. I actually do things for real clients on the fly. That is the point of why this system, the Minute Launch, is so awesome versus the drama of WordPress and endless flea markets. When you've got the guy, I'm wearing my yellow vest here, when you got the guy at IKEA who knows all the IKEA parts and you can't find something on the shelf, he can call the home office and they make a new chair or a new table or a new accessory and put it in the inventory. Oh, actually, yes, that is true. That is where we met. And my whole history of Ning is a long conversation, and it worked out pretty well for everybody, I suppose. But the drama there, I'll pull in and show you some examples because we're seeing experiences like this in the WordPress space, except Mullenweg can't do a goddamn thing about it. And I say that with a little tiny touch of antagonism, but trying to be spiritual about it because he's got his own problems to deal with. But thankfully, full circle, 20 years later, I had learned my lesson the first time. So you guys and I benefit from the lessons I learned and put into place to protect what I'm doing here versus when the first time happened with Ning. I'll talk about that in a second, just for fun. Okay. So here, what I want to show you is whenever I create a product, I, in the past, would create all these micro products and I would sell them at a traditional shop. So let's start with a meta concept. First of all, if you want to think about WooCommerce as the transactional engine for your business, do not think about it as a place where people necessarily come here. I want you to notice something. Notice that my shop page exists, like the back storeroom of my warehouse. But notice it's not a primary tab. Notice I only have a couple primary tabs. I intentionally obfuscate the shop a little bit because for the most part, there's no need for me to send people back here. This is going to be really important in a second when I talk about, let's say, the toggles and stuff. Thank you, Mark. It's true. One of the things that's interesting, and today, by the way, is a very free-flowing thing. So I love this part of the conversation. One of the things is I'm a Scorpio, and I've been talking about, and with Mullenweg and the rest of the crew there, including Otto and the rest of his henchmen for years, and saying, they're absolutely being duplicitous. And I don't want to be involved in anything that has to do with us fighting or doing anything. But at the same time, as a community, it's disrespectful to the rest of the spiritual beings and entrepreneurs here to treat us like we're idiots the whole time. And now he's revealing the real nature of his being. And so I sort of feel a sense of like, A, I was right all along, which is not satisfying because I wish I was wrong. And B, like, that's the opposite of how I want to be. So now that there's a vacuum, I don't need to take over anything new with WordPress, but there are certain people, and you guys are all here today, good morning, that are here to watch and listen and learn that there's a better way to do stuff. And guess what? Thank God. thank open source that I can do it with open source versus the Ning thing. So you don't have to do everything I'm saying, but Mullenweg can't stop us. And by the way, I've been kicked out of the community as well. My account was closed. My plugins were shut down for nothing other than being on the WP Tonic show and some other nonsense that everybody or anybody else did. So I'm in good company in that regard, but I already planned for this event. So as you mentioned, you notice I don't really talk about it because it has no effect. Okay. Back to this. When I use my shop, the new way, the Spence way, the Minute Launch way, is that the shop is going to be a placeholder where all of the actual product post types exist, but we're not, watch my lips, we are not going to have to pre-program all of the details of them. We're going to be able to do it dynamically with the front end. Good morning. Thank you very much. That makes my day, by the way. We're going to be able to do it programmatically on the front end with visual tools. So I want to show you some examples, but first let me show you the customizer. I do not like to sell plugins individually anymore. Why? Because I think that business model is broken. As you know, the whole point is I have got the software bundle, this Minute Launch software bundle, or calling the Minute Launch Kit software bundle. The kit word's going to get in there somewhere. I think it's going to be Minute Launch Software Kit. This has all of the software you ever need. It's the same concept of why I think it's silly why you would go carve a tree into a chair instead of going to IKEA. IKEA has everything you already need. Why not just go there and get immediate satisfaction? Well, why spend $6,500 on software when you can get it in one spot? Nevertheless, occasionally I come across brilliant software in the WordPress world that's in the kit, but just missing some parts. And Fluent Community is one of them. They've done such a brilliant job with the plugin, but there are such gaping holes in how it operates that it's sending mere mortals into conniptions because you want to use it, and I'm telling you to use it, and you should use it, but there's these gaping holes. So this is where I'm making an exception. I had so many people saying, can I just buy that plugin? I decided to offer this for sale. Now, I want you to notice a couple things because this is really strategic. Number one, do you see anything going on that's complicated here? This is the whole sales page. Let's break it down for a second. It's a billboard. Spence has always talked about everything and anything you want to do is a billboard. Remember O'Hare, Brian Urlacher, Airport. So what's the pain point? Well, in this case, transform your Fluent Community into a powerful branded platform, because what the customizer does is it takes an outstanding plugin and a bunch of other things that you're going to use, but it puts them together into something that's unified with your brand, i.e., it takes like what would otherwise be this, floating in the space portal, and it puts your brand of the theme on top. I'm going to show you, by the way, I'm going to come back to what I'm doing there because I'm revealing something I want to talk about. But the idea is it brands the platform. It gives you control over the community part so that it fits in with the rest. And then the second line of your billboard should always be, what do you do about it? What's your pain solution? Well, I give you complete control over layout, design, and integration. And then what's your call to action? Well, I'm going to make an exception to my rule, but I'm still going to let you know it's $47 a year for one plugin, or it's $47 a month for $6,500 of all the software, plus the benefits that accrue. So they're very comparable in the value, because somebody who just wants the plugin, fine, just take the plugin. But most people, I would say, far better if you just joined this club, got rid of buying all your shit independently at the flea market, shit meaning wonderful software, of course, buying all your stuff. It's Saucy Friday. Because the kit offers a better way of doing things. This is like the IKEA member card. If you're going to come back and have meatballs once in a while, you might as well just get on board, right? Okay. The second panel, less is more. What do I have here? The plugin is really it's a couple thousand lines, but it's a one file plugin that does one thing really well, has one interface. So all I need to do is just say, it's one simple plugin that does just adjust these things and put a picture of it up. And then I put 4 details, right? Layout control, theme integration, custom content areas, professional design tools. Less words. I know. I feel like it's WP Tonic reunion. And that's Szymanski. Very easily said. I like the SCY. So these 4 things are all that I need. I just need 4 features, really easy to read. Notice the lack of words. Why? Because human beings have started to evolve. If anybody has seen the movie Idiocracy, anybody has seen WALL-E, you know where we're going at the rate things are happening. If people do not practice reading, they're going to be incapable of even contemplating bullet lists. But at the moment, less words is like Steven Spielberg's shark in Jaws. The shark didn't work, so it only showed up now and then. They filled in the blanks with the do 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 do. The less they said, the scarier it was because people's imaginations filled in the blank. I do have a video, and I have a call to action to check out the support docs, which I've already got. And then I make it really easy, right? 30-day money back guarantee. What the hell do I care if there's 1 out of 1,000 people who try to take advantage of me on software that costs me no effort to give and take, right? I mean, it's fully automated. If you cancel, it just takes it away from you. Why do I care? Why not give you the benefit of the doubt and make it super easy for you to just try this and not have any reason to say no? Just like I give a 30-day money back guarantee on the $6,500 of software, the support and the hosting that goes with it. What do I have to lose? I've only had one person who remarkably canceled in the last 2 to 5 years. I mean, I can't think of anybody who canceled outright. Most people stick around, succeed in some degree, and then tell their friends. I don't know, Rondo. That joke, you'll have to let me know. Okay, so number 1 is I gave in to the notion of doing a separate product from the bundle. But what I think most people should be doing is offering a bundle where everything you do as a human being has one price. That applies to the community. That applies to the software, the services, the thing you're selling. People really understand nowadays the value of being part of a larger community. Now, just to give you an emphasis on this, I have not launched it officially, even though I promised, but I did put together over here an example of what's going to happen. WP Launchify is going to hold the community. You do have to be logged in on this. Let me pull this screen off 1 second and make sure I get in where I want to go. Standing by. Okay. I just want to make sure if I had to go by the admin dashboard for a second. So in the launch flows, or I should say in the launch flows, in the WP Launchify community, you'll notice that I'm keeping it super simple as well. Right now, you can come in and join this, but there's only one requirement. You either have to have had a free call with me or you've had to buy something. And if you have, then you'll be able to come in here and you can participate in this now, by the way. It's under portal. I just haven't put a link to it yet because I'm working on some of these things I'm going to show you in a second. But we're going to have just basically either discussions or there might be some mini courses. Some of the mini courses might be things that are just like how to expedite doing X, Y, and Z. We're going to have fun with this. But the other reason I have this is because I'm building the software, like I'm starting to talk about, the Fluent Community Customizer. So in the school example, because I'm not going to use WP Launchify as the example for this. In the school example, let's go on the back end. I want to show you what the latest update is going to do. This is going to be released today. I'm quite sure of it because I finished it yesterday. The Fluent Community, when you set it up, you have, various things you can do to adjust the look and the feel and whatever, but you cannot do what I'm about to show you. Number 1, you cannot decide where to put the 3 main spaces, the top menu bar, the content menu bars, or the sidebar. With the Fluent Community Customizer, you can relocate or hide any of those. So you don't want a sidebar? Don't have to have a sidebar. Don't want that content header? Don't need it. But you could leave them in place and hide instead some of the stuff inside of there or relocate it. For example, what I want to do is I want to have this here, my profile menu on the left side. So my profile menu is now above the sidebar. I want to have my main menu for the community stuff on the right side. So I move it to the right side. I do not need to show that silly, stupid, ridiculous size of a pinhead community logo that's stuck inside of that header bar because I am using the ability to customize the whole space to look like my theme. So watch, if I were to put it in there, I'll just open it up on the center. Okay. Let's save that. I'm not saying that the community is ridiculous. I think this layout, this design concept is silly. We needed to fix it. Like, look at that thing. It's right here. You can't even see it. Normally this is on the left side. Like, who can do anything with that, right? So I just hide it. The thing is, I love what the guys, what the whole team, guys and girls, are doing at WP Managed Ninjas, but there's like 150 of them now working on a dozen products. They're not going to be able to keep up with these like minutia of details. That's where I can feel comfortable. It's worthwhile getting involved. Okay, this is a great question. So Mark's question I'm going to come back to, but let me give you a quick sneak peek of where this is going. And today, by the way, you can stay or no. I'm going into bonus rounds, I can tell today, because I'm going to have lots to talk about. But let me give a quick rundown. If you follow my methodology, I have the platform, 97 bucks all in for yourself or your client. Hosting, unlimited email support, all the software, community. If you double that and you charge 97 for your clients and send them upstream, I also give you 20 of my 97. So you make $117 for being the implementer. You are the person who brought your friend to IKEA. You are the interior designer who took your friend over to IKEA. You are the school teacher who took the kids over to the Lego store. Okay. You make 97 plus 20. I make 77. That's every month in perpetuity. It's a great deal because I can manage the platform, the wholesale, the whatever. Now let's compare 194 that your client will pay. If we were to go to Circle, and let's just be honest with ourselves, and we look at pricing, okay? Circle is not WordPress. Circle cannot do the transactional engines. It cannot do the multitude of marketing automations. It cannot build anything. There's a list of about 2,000 things you cannot do on Circle. And guess what? You do not own and control the software. So my whole drama of Ning was those son of a bitches didn't like everything that me and my partner were doing for $12,500. So their lawyer said, shut the whole thing down. They kicked 12,500 people off. Open up any social media today and look what the oligarch platform owners are doing to their customers with their big cojones. So I don't trust any platform to build a business on if I can avoid it. WordPress, we have a founder who's off his rocker in some ways, people would say, but guess what? He can't stop any of us because the software is open source. Okay. Right. And this is a good point. Your customers may dictate, right? But look at the honesty here. Professional, $89 a month. You get Bupkis for that. Bupkis. It's a basic social network. That's it. That's like if I just put like two of the components in, right? If I put maybe WooCommerce and Fluent Community in place, that's about it. When you start talking about the workflows, customizations, it's $199. Oh, same price as you and me as a platform with your client, except your client owns it and controls it, and anything and everything that needs to be made can be made locally at the database level, saved, stored, shared, part of the community. Can't do that here because they own the platform. You can only access it through REST API. When you go into, this is where the honesty kicks in. $360 a month. These are just a fraction of the features that you could do inside of the Minute Launch platform, as easy as turning it on. And don't get me started. When they put custom pricing, that means thousands. Okay. If we do the same thing for Mighty Networks, which by the way, is not as good as Circle in some ways. Sorry, Gina, but it has the basics of it. Okay. Same situation. Don't believe the free trial. That's just a taster. Same situation. $41. Ha ha ha. Let's bill it monthly. $49. Ha ha ha. That's bare bones at its finest. Base, 97, just to put in courses. Now we start talking the reality. 219. That's right, Gina. And then Path to Pro, 430. Now we're talking real. Somebody owns it. Somebody's got a gilded cage. you can't do bupkis with it to modify it except through a REST API or JavaScript or CSS. And you're going to be paying $430 a month. And then they're going to not like you and double their price, and your client and you are screwed. Don't get me started if you go into other platforms, because there's other things you can go to, like, Buddy Boss is the old school one, and we've got Discords and we got whatever. But the same basic idea is you are going to pay at least the same or more for less features that you don't own and control, and your client will be locked into, versus a unified platform that you own and control, and even in the midst of a storm of the founder cannot do anything but get better. Okay, great question. Thank you, Mark, for that. And by the way, I'm not trying to be a dick to anybody. Some days I'm spicy. Most of the days I'm very zen and everything else. But when I'm talking about the business stuff, I am befuddled that we are in 2025 on the verge of humanity going into the next phase of awesome with either AI and people are like racing towards historical bad precedent of the way to behave, like the Gilded Age oligarchs and the tech oligarchs, or the people who are capitalists who think that shareholder value over human beings. All this bullshit gets me so riled up, because I'm like, we have infinite capability as human beings and resources to make this an amazing world for everybody, and not give up anything except greed and irrationality and cruelty and other stuff. And I don't want to sound like I'm preaching, but like, Jesus, like, how is it possible that people with $400 billion don't spend their waking moment trying to help people? And regular mere mortals like us, we can just do it by helping each other. And that's why I say these are great companies. But if you're going to start out and you have a customer and they otherwise are open to it, wouldn't you choose not to be in the position of having like these headlines? Ning shuts down widget laboratory. And by the way, I don't sit in the past thinking about this, but like 2008, when all this drama, that was Gina, that was Mark Andreessen, that was their lawyers. 12,500 people lost everything they had because their lawyers said, those guys are doing a good job and making us look silly because we don't know what we're doing. One day you're here, one day you're gone. And so for 2.5, 3 years, that drama perpetuated. And it's weird that 19, whatever years later, it's like coming around again, right? Like bell-bottom jeans. Okay, I'm really off track, but let me go back. So here's the new stuff. With the Fluent Community Customizer, besides being able to do the menus and show, we have the ability to take your theme, now proven with Elementor, now proven with Beaver Builder. I thought they were all dead, but it works whether you're using Cadence or not. I have an option box that you can put any content in. Notice, good old-fashioned WYSIWYG, that you can put in anything you want. You can even use this cool plugin called Insert a Page, and I can insert a page in there if I want to. The point is, I have a little short code where you click and put in, says show header, and that's what shows the header of the site. If I remove that, and I don't want to be redundant because I've done this before, if I remove that, then I'm back to kind of like, yeah, it's cool, but I'm really disoriented as to what's going on here. Where am I? What's happening? Okay. So I always put it in there. But here's the stuff that happened from a conversation, by the way. I accidentally placed a video in there. That's how fun that is. Spence having a moment of zen here. There we go. Okay. What I put in place here was, we discovered yesterday that when you set up the Fluent community, the default page is this thing called a feed. It's an aggregation of anything that of your other spaces that you set as public. I don't always want a feed to be the first thing that people see. Apparently, a lot of other people do not either, but that is what you get with this setup at the moment. So feature number one that I added in. I added in a new space where I have some controls. Layout options. Number one, this allows you to make your theme header full width so that the logo goes to the side and everything goes to the side. But check out this. What if I just don't want the home feed at all? Checkbox for the win. Why? Because now the home feed can be anything else I want or nothing at all. By the way, let's remove this so I don't ruin my presentation. Now the home feed can be anything you want or nothing at all. Here's nothing at all. So you come to the community, you can have lots of other things showing up. You can have banners showing up. You can now inject anything you want anywhere, but at least you're not seeing a feed. Number two, what if I want to replace the feed? Okay. How about you want to not be on the feed page at all? Maybe you want to be on another page entirely. Okay. Maybe you want to go, and I want to save this link here. Hold on a second. Maybe you want to go instead to one of the other pages, like start on a different space. Right click, copy that link, go in here, and on this option, redirect homepage or redirect home, paste that in. And now when you go and reload, when you go to the feed, it doesn't go to the feed blank anymore. It goes to the space where you want to go. Like it would go to the new course, right? And this is really a useful tool because this can be redirected either inside or outside. It's up to you. And so basic idea is when you get in there, it just takes you in and you get directed to whatever may be here. Now, this may or may not have content depending on whether it's protected, but the idea is that it allows you to navigate around. Redirect away. Let's get rid of that. Here's choice 3. We hide the home feed, but we put back in what I was showing you earlier. We put back in whatever we want. This could be words. And we could format it, just WYSIWYG editor to the rescue in the good old days. Okay. So it could just be words, but let's go here, feed. More importantly, besides words, and let me turn this off for a second. Besides words, it could be something else. It could be elements. Okay. So here's words, but wouldn't it be cool if instead we could put full elements in place? So I've used, for example, Cadence, or you could use your Beaver or your Elementor or whatever you're using. And I could just do elements. And when I do the elements, they come with a short code. So this means that I have a universal container that is full size, full width, that will fill this whole space with whatever else I want to put in place. Now, this is a really ugly banner, but I'm going to show you how I can customize it. Next is I want to show you something because I have to just fix something in the code, but I'll fix this in a second. One of the things that I'm working on right now is imagine if you came to your home feed, I just had a pattern of really cool visual stuff, much like I do, for example, when we're using patterns.launchflows. What if I just created a really, really cool setup of stuff, I don't know, that really did the job? Well, in fact, this one might actually be pretty good, right? Because we're working with the same features, I could just give you this pattern code and we could just create a new element and stick it in there. And then you just change it for yourself. It's like having universal Lego blocks, right? So this is how that would work. If I go into appearance, elements. And by the way, I noticed something about my code because I was working with it yesterday. I want to change something about the display. I'm working with a version of this that some of the test features I was doing are not as I'm going to finally release. So let's do a new element, and we can make this either a full template or we could just make it a section or a fixed element. Let's just make it a section. Okay. Cool pattern. All I got to do is paste it in place. Because I'm using all the same stuff, it works. I can modify it as I wish from my own words, or I can even put in dynamic content, right? So I can go into the database and replace this with another custom field from somewhere else. Power that you don't really see on the top that's right under the hood. When I publish this and I tell it that it can be visible, for example, anywhere on the site. Okay. So display settings everywhere, seen by everyone. Now I just can grab what I need to from the shortcode. One of the things that I want to make sure people also know is when you're putting it in that space, you probably want to just allow it to fill the space. So I actually turn off that wrapper of inherent max width. That way it flows. In fact, you can even double check that. Just make sure that your thing you're building is set so that it goes to 100%. It'll just look nicer. It's not like it'll be wrong. It just won't have spaces. Okay. So watch what happens. If I just make this element using the built-in same tools that I use for everything else, it is cool, Ann. I agree with you. here's the cool pattern. Let's just grab the cadence shortcode, because shortcodes for the win. I'm going to go over here to the Fluent Community Customizer, and I'm going to want to show you a couple other things today. So I'm not going to stay only on the customizer, but let's put it into the header. I'm sorry, into the homepage content. Okay. Save at the bottom. And then let's refresh. And so one of the things that happens, this is where I'm still in testing phase. Hi, Sandy. Thank you. I'm in love with you too. And thank you, by the way, for all your loyal belief in what I'm doing. One of the things that happens is, notice, because we're in a different size, the responsive layout is not working fully. I'm still trying to figure out. That's why I saw a moment ago. When I release this today, I want to find out and make sure I can transmit the custom CSS that applies to these elements. But I think what you're seeing is important. The Fluent Community Customizer, this version, now you can control the homepage feed, turn it on and off. You can redirect to other pages. You can put native content or shortcode content. This means that you have like a modular build system. And guess what you're not doing? No full site editing BS, nonsense, crazy madness. This is just what you see is what you get. Gutenberg patterns, which is the way it should be. And I am on personal protest against full site editing and all the shenanigans that it brings, like I talked last week. It's broken more people's brains than anything it's helped. Okay, next. Had a really good question. Getting back to what I was showing you about WP Launchify and how I sell. Had a lot of clients this week that I put in really powerful applications that are using a feature that's included in Launchflows, which is part of your bundle, or you can, yes, you can still buy it from me a la carte. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can. There's two things in Launchflows that work really well. Number one is we have product toggles. Now, product toggles is what I famously, in many instances, use to go from here, which, by the way, I haven't removed because it's still seeming like some people love it. I'm not sure if I'm going to completely get rid of it, to here. Product toggles allows you to take, like I started today, any product and not put anything in it other than a name and a featured image. And then you can set up any number of placeholder variations. You don't even have to designate what they're for. They could just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So just imagine, in a world, imagine that you've got 5 products. Call the title what you want, because we can also change the name of that in the cart. Product 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And each product is either a simple product or a variable product. And if it's a variable, it has variations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or A, B, C, D, and E. Doesn't matter. All we need are the IDs of those products. And the rest of the stuff we want to do can be done dynamically on the back end. I'm going to show you a supreme example of this with this client. That's the second-year client. They're doing extremely well. And we've got them connected into the higher level stuff as well with Metoric and reporting. For choosing the camps, there's 14 to 16 camps. Each camp has 12 to 13 products that are all done with this methodology, which I'm going to show you. The product toggles allow us to just have a placeholder for anybody. They start where everything you need is there, but you can just make the details happen on the front end. Okay, so for example, here's Camp Nakamixon. It's the same as Camp Airy or anything else. But when you go to register, it asks you a series of questions that add stuff to the cart. Some of them are, custom, including about the kids, right? And what's neat about this is off-the-shelf WooCommerce with just Launchflows and the capability. Here's the first product toggle. I want which way to camp. Using the marketing automation and the block visibility, I'm able to conditionally change what's the next question. But these are individual product questions. I'm adding products to the cart dynamically and building on the right side using Launchflows. This wonderful, notice how it's nice and sticky. This is just a pattern that's available to you to use as well, because I've tested this with thousands of people, and this is the kind of stuff that Amazon does and everybody else. Easy to do. But what's happening is, watch what happens when I get to one of these custom questions. What happens is, because we can program each camp differently in just the words of the pattern, we get a completely different outcome, and the labels end up showing up in the product while it's in the cart. So watch this. If I choose for the delivery region, I don't know, region 2, it can show all those labels and stuff. When I go here, driver to camp, door-to-door service, I don't want to bore you with this one camp, but I'm getting to a point. These little labels at the end, these are being added dynamically. Okay, let me just show you now on this side, because I can show you this page. If I show you how this page is built, it's literally just some short codes that have parameters in it. The newer version of LaunchFlows is going to have a new tool called the Dynamic Shortcode Builder. Instead of doing all this crazy stuff of going into every product and setting everything and doing all this nuanced details, and all you're going to have is you're just going to have a product in WooCommerce, product 1. It's going to have as many variations as you want. It's going to have the ID, of course, but then you're going to be able to put all the other stuff like the price, the details, the discount, the coupon, just by generating the shortcode, and the shortcode will do all the work for you. Watch. I'm in the design library here. I'm showing you, by the way, this is my kitchen. Here's my menu on the left side, and you can, let me turn off Sandy's thing. You can see here that I'm just having a repeating pattern. I can zoom in on this. I don't know if it's going to help if I zoom too big. It makes it like go around, but let me go back because that just probably makes it worse. Okay. So for example, LF cart toggle, that's just the name of the shortcode. Whether you do it manually from copying and changing the things, or whether you have the shortcode generator. ID, that's the product ID. That's the thing we need from WooCommerce. Okay. Then we have 3 things that are optional. You can have a label that shows up before the product is in the cart. You can have a label that shows up called the remove label after it's in the cart. So it could be like add this thing or remove this thing, or it could just be like I'm doing the same thing for both. And then you have another option, which is called product label. Product label I'm not using here. That means that when the product's in the cart, that the thing that is shown is completely whatever you want it to say. Why is that awesome? Because there's another parameter called price. So since we have a placeholder for the product, and any variation has a unique ID, and we can just put the thumbnails in there. Other than doing that, which by the way, as you can see, we can override because like I'm not using the thumbnail, I'm just using the thumbnail in line. Other than that, all of the details, the price, the discount, the label, checkbox, button added, anything you want to do could be just done as a shortcode. Why is that a big deal? Because now by using this system, you can do what I just showed you here, which is just invent anything, share anything, save anything, reuse anything, because the setup time is reduced to like 1/100th. As long as you got WooCommerce and you have LaunchFlows and you have the Fluent CRM or some CRM, as long as you have the once you have the basics set up, all of the detail work can be done in line just by reusing patterns and using things that have snapped together. And so I can modify this with no design skills, no time at all. And I can make things like discount sales or dynamically applied things. Are there 3 of this in the cart or not? So these are some of the things that to me are really awesome, but that's the LaunchFlows plugin. And the new option is called product toggles. So if you were, for example, going to LaunchFlows and you went into the documentation, which is still pretty good, it's a little dated. If you just go here to short codes, I've got a whole section now on product toggles, right? So this explains what to do, but it also gives you the necessary, for all of the stuff, the short codes that you need. So you don't have to like start from scratch. You could just say, okay, I want to take this version. I want to take a checkbox style and just take it, change some of the parameters, add some of the parameters, whatever you want to do. There's even CSS capability if you're into that, like Kevin Geary fans, or you're using a CSS framework. We have total, logical, normal ways of doing things instead of like, oh, you got to put it in the full site editor blender and it shoots out the other end. Okay. Let's talk about another thing. A client came to me. They're doing My Haialoa. This is a client that's doing really great membership stuff. And amongst the other custom things that we built, another thing I added to LaunchFlows, this is Dr. Early, was when somebody has a bill to pay. There's a pay order form. Now, these guys have a custom checkout, which I want to show you. It's got the launch flow stuff. I'm not doing any of the design. There's a very capable team, but they've got their own custom checkout. The problem is that when you're using a custom checkout, WooCommerce doesn't behave when the person needs to pay an outstanding bill. Like they have an order that's unpaid, a credit card failed. So we put in a feature that allows you this really cool dynamic thing so that when they go to pay their bill, you can still have your custom checkout, but you still get the benefit of this being a fix. I don't know if any of you have had this happen, but it looks something like this. Let me see if I can draw down. This may or may not show up the person, so forgive me. But like when you put in that custom link, yeah, it's asking me to log in. It essentially says, I'm still going to let you have all your custom things, but just because there was like a little doodad in launch flows, we're not going to put you in a space that your clients can't pay or you're confused, or you're broken. That's more of an example of like how about a month ago, there was a release of the WooCommerce Stripe Gateway, and they did something that broke the visibility of the credit cards. Because I have thousands of people using the system, I could see that happening before all of the stuff got released. And I was able to tell everybody, this thing's broken. Let's stay with the version we're at until they fix it, which they did, by the way, later in the day. But the idea is you, even as professionals, don't need to worry about having a buffer. There's Spence at the concierge desk of IKEA here, making sure that that new load of, bamboo furniture is not going to break what you've already got in your house. And having that as a service on top of the value proposition is something that many people have really appreciated. Which, by the way, that's another meta example of how I use my own setup of the Minute Launch for the Have I Helped. So at 1WDTV/have-I-help, here's a Fluent form that goes into the CRM that I use for collecting the data that is then spit back automatically with AI or with manual Spence over a cup of tea to the Have I Helped You quotes. So I've immediately started to get some old timers who came back and bought the new Fluent customizer. Nate was one of them, but it just spits out the data. And you can see maybe some of you guys, there's Ann and stuff. It spits it out where these form fields get filled automatically by a very simple process. And it just generates a new thumbnail, which then I put into what is really the way of selling. The way of selling today is that you need to have social proof and you need to have a solution that's maybe content-based, that solves a person's problem in a short time. So they go, yeah, I want one of those. Essentially TikTok or Instagram or something type of videos. You need something like in 30 seconds, somebody goes, yeah, I need that thing. I need to buy that Deal-A-Meal or the Pocket Fisherman or something like that. It's very old as new again. I'll answer this question now. Mark's got a good question. Okay, so let's talk about fairy tales that have not come true. I love the guys who started Buddy Boss. Okay, Buddy Boss. I don't know Tom directly, but I know the other founder who is now, are they mentioning him? I think Tom's still there and the original founder is gone, but nevertheless, with Buddy Boss as a business model, it was the great thing at the time because it was all we had for social networking, right? And Chicago-based solution. Buddy Boss essentially compiled a whole bunch of stuff that allowed you to fix what was wrong with Buddy Press and BB Press, as everybody know, but it became this behemoth. But one of the things that really drove that business was the fairy tale, the nightmare of the apps. You can have an app for your community. And at the time, it was legitimately necessary because there wasn't mobile responsive HTML5 view applications that loaded in mobile phones that everybody has the same thing in high definition, big screens. Everybody had like, I got a flip phone, I got a Treo, I got a Nokia. Like, and if you got a mobile phone, you needed an app to do anything. The cost and complexity, there's Tom. He's a very handsome guy and very successful business, but it's a dinosaur now because to do an app requires a full-time crew to constantly be updating code and submitting it to, you guessed it, the Apple or Android stores for approval. Full-time job, full-time coding, full-time updating. And guess what? There's nothing in the app that you cannot do with just using, by the way, Buddy Boss mobile version. There's nothing. When you do the minute launch, software bundle, and all the other stuff with marketing automation, you're better not using the app because it looks the same, feels the same, acts the same, but you don't have the cost. They don't even really publish, I don't think, the price here. I can tell you what it's going to cost you for that app. This says like $179. That's not true. Okay. What happens is, in order to develop the stuff, this is what you end up with. Okay. You end up with like $6,500 and up. Okay. It's up and up and up. And even if they do it at $49.99, constantly fixing stuff, constantly breaking stuff, because it's impossibly difficult. Now, do they do a great job? Yes. They have great reviews. The product was the only game in town. But man, oh man, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Yeah. Sandy is doing a mea culpa. Sandy came to me, like many of my clients, because I told you the story. Ning was a social network. When I came over to WordPress, the first thing I was involved in was social networking, right? With John James Jacoby and Boone Gorgas, who wrote those two plugins, bbPress and BuddyPress. And then later down the road with Tom and the rest of the team and everybody else. I mean, this is my origin story in WordPress. But as time went on, Sandy and everybody else realized what I'm saying is like not necessary. Now, here's why this is different. Watch this. If I go, I haven't set it up fully, but if I go to WP Launchify community, again, there's no real crazy styling here yet. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this tool here, Responsive Viewer. And you'll notice that whatever I may be doing or not doing, everything just looks, I mean, I don't know about you, but everything to me looks and acts and feels exactly like it would if I was inside of an app. And because Spence can customize stuff like we talked about, and I can do stuff that makes it possible to traverse the site, I can also cross over into other things like I can show you a product sales page. I can show you a LearnDash course. I can have an event calendar. I can have a booking. There's all these things that don't require somebody to custom code them, submit them to somebody who's a stranger for approval every time you want to update, and then leave you at the mercy that the whole thing is for what? Because the same data exists inside of here. I can use I'm just showing two mobile devices, but I can use a mobile app to access any social network I want. In fact, here's one of our clients. Here's Xander Holtz. He's got a really powerful community now using the same tools. Okay, so if we put Xander's situation into the blender, which you can see here, which is awesome. These are all the funnel, there's a survey, there's this, and I mean, everything you want. This can't look any more beautiful, including the community part, because that's the point. It's designed for that with the browser, HTML5. So some things like Dreamweaver, we had to give up. Giving up an app is one of the things you give up, because last, and then I'm going to answer Sandy's other comment. When we started back in the dinosaur days, there was 5 companies making apps. I actually made an app called Baby Shiz. And back then I actually had a chance to get ranked in the iPhone store. You show me somebody today with a quadrillion apps out there that can get any attention from the iPhone store. So there's no longer a marketing benefit to the cost and the complexity. And then even with an HTML5 app or mobile browser, you can use a tool to make a really cool little icon that shows up on people's desk, or you can just show them how to make a shortcut so that it shows up on their desk as well. And it's like the users have no difference. Okay. Okay, so Sandy's point is well taken, but what I'm going to suggest is that the solution to this kind of thing is what I'm trying to show you here. So let's say you're using, as you guys are, a custom capable tool that has Lego blocks you can control. You own them, you control them. Spence can give them to other people in the community, can give them to you. Let's go over here to school, shall we? Schoolwp.com portal. Let's go here. And when we go into this, what I'm saying is that I can control with this any banner, any sales experience. Like this could just as easily be a sales page that shows up in the front page of the community that leads to a LearnDash lesson. that triggers an automation that sends email campaigns until you buy something else and then takes you to a booking page. All of that Spence with his yellow vest can give you today for $97 and follow a recipe. Good luck on Buddy Boss doing that. Good luck on Ning or Circle or any Mighty Networks. Why? Well, in the first instance with Buddy Boss is because the whole thing is wired together with chewing gum and Band-Aids and pulled by a horse. And if you try to change anything, the consequences of that are going to be a long, long day of misery. And you're going to end up building a Frankenstein monster that somebody codes once, and then as something else changes, you're out of luck. Second is that with the paid solutions, they don't have any way for you to change things or bulletproof things or make things connect together other than through REST API, paid subscribers, or third-party approved plugins. WordPress gives us full control. So whether you are like following Uncle Spence or you go, like I'm going to show you, go in and use the community to grab one of my freebies like this, for example. Let's reshare this. And I'm going to take you over to the WP Launchify community. One of the things I was thinking about, why it took me so long to get this here, is what am I going to put here? Well, the discussion seems like a logical thing, and it's free. Any of you can come in here. Wouldn't it be cool if I could just put like my quick tips and my code and my video in here of stuff that's just, it's not like deserving of like a full-blown blog post or a video, but maybe it is. I could just dump it in here so that it's somewhere, and then I can use the AI tools that Uncle Spence is building for you, like the AI support tool. Now, I highlighted this a week ago. This tool is going to be, for me, revolutionary because this is a tool that lets you, with your Minute Launch setup, build an entire business of managing everything that comes about with your clients and how to reuse it or use it for marketing and selling. It literally is everything from an intake engine to a custom post type analyzer to a support ticket answerer to I don't want to use Slack or Discord to keep track of my own thoughts. I want to input it and have it tell me what to do next. So having the Minute Launch AI assistant that aggregates and manages all your stuff, combined with tools that Spence shows you are simple enough for you to just like Lego blocks, copy paste with the support of the guy in the yellow vest, means that when you have a client who comes in, or like Sandy knows, a whole group of RVers, you've essentially just take my price plan, double it. You say it's $194. That means you're making $217, $217 a month. Sorry, start over. That's wrong. That means you're making 97 plus 20, $117 a month. So you're making about $1,500 a year just on the referral and the being in place. And then you're going to charge them for the services that you can do. You don't need to tell them that you can deliver a $30, $50, $100,000 AI marketing automation / membership community solution for them for $5,000. You don't need to tell them that it took you 2 minutes to just basically launch the Minute Launch thing, follow a few recipes and be done, because they're thrilled that they just got a $25, $50, $100,000 solution with somebody to support it, to give them everything spoon fed for $5,000 plus $97.97, $194 a month. That's cheaper than the platforms with more stuff and with a person built in at both the wholesale level and the retail level, and with none of the drama, and with all of the notices hidden and all the graffiti hidden, and no, oh, Jesus, I want to just throw one more thing in there and break it. My vision is becoming reality of turning energy into matter, where for years I've been thinking how stupid this thing is, and Mullywag has been so duplicitous and everybody's playing games, when it's just so obvious. If you look at any platform, any normal platform like Canva, okay, Melanie Perkins and her partner at Canva figured it out and crushed the whole concept of what Photoshop was. Photoshop was the only game in town for 25 years. It came in with a free thing, and now the company's worth $1 billion because what did they do? Value-added pricing. But more importantly is they just listened to the customer. and they stop trying to fight and make people's lives miserable. Just listen to, what do you need? What do you want? What's hard? We can make that happen. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to spend my time on. That's what I think I'm showing you. Let's go to the mailbag. I've got an email here from Bernie. Bernie and I spent a lot of time working on his awesome solution. I'm going to call it up on my other screen here. He had some questions that I'm going to use. He gave me permission. He gave me, what is this thing called? An Evernote. Evernote. Of things that were on his mind. Where is it, Bernie? Okay. Here is an Evernote that I'm hoping will open. And I'm just going to cover a couple concepts because we're already at the hour, but I think there's a couple worthy things in here. Welcome to Evernote, okay. So what happened is Bernie is in the $5,000 VIP club, but we've been working on a lot of his business stuff over time. There wasn't really an urgency. We had to do it all the first day. And he's learned a lot because he wants to own and control. So he's listed out for me in a good way. I've asked him some of the things. I want to talk about a couple highlights of things that might show up inside of either short lessons or in the products that I sell. Payment methods. Okay. When you're using Stripe Gateway for WooCommerce, do not, in my opinion, enable Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal. It's not nice. Nobody today can use those services for anything other than mundane things unless they fully register there and give up their credit card information there. Now ask yourself the question, if you ran a shop and it took just as much work for your clients to take out their credit card, go down the street, give it to somebody at Apple, Google, PayPal to say, hey, I'm a customer of yours, and then make you get on the phone and call that thing and ask if it's okay for them to pay you the money from this person versus just handing you their own credit card at your store, which would be better. Duh. Take the credit card from people, store it locally. That way you can give them one-click checkout and it does not confuse the whole experience of the funnel. You want people to follow a specific path and see certain things for certain reasons, like I was just showing you with Door Camp. You don't want them to be broken out and taken off to some other weird overlay screen. Oh, just so for 1 second, they don't have to see the thing that, by the way, shows up in their browser anyway. I don't know if this is going to work, but I want to show you what I mean. My credit cards are all here. God forbid you guys go on a trip. But if, for example, you went to WP Launchify, every single person with a modern browser, their credit cards show up when they go to pay. I'm sorry, but it just happens. Watch. Whoops. Oh, you can't see it. Thank God. When I click here for my credit card, this thing shows up that is my credit cards. You can't see it because the screen isn't sharing the modal, but trust me, it does. So there's no reason to give out like all of that power to Apple Pay or Google or any of that stuff. It would be a fool's errand, but it's a great question. One of these is Evernote. Okay. Taxes. Okay. It's tough to be in the EU. He's in Great Britain. You have to do value-added tax. What I did, by the way, for my British and EU customers, notice this here, this little toggle. This is a pattern. I've got it shared. You can use it. For American customers, I sell virtual stuff. I don't want your home address. I'm not sending you a postcard. If I wanted that, I would ask you for it. Here for the EU, people need their automatic invoices and receipts. So I just give you the ability in the EU. You want to toggle it, add your stuff in here. Great. Then it'll automatically create an invoice for you in a PDF or otherwise that you can automatically download. But otherwise, we don't need that in America. I'm not going to bother anybody for it. But for people in the EU, giving them the ability to self-fill in the VAT information, great idea. There's another idea that somebody also suggested. There are services that work with WooCommerce that can handle all that VAT nonsense for you. Pricing. Bernie has got a very similar business to mine. The ability to dynamically pay for stuff or dynamically change the pricing is worth its weight in gold. Watch what I mean. If you looked at any of my products, they all have a unique ID. We just talked about that. But because I have the ability to use that ID, you can dynamically create any product in the cart with a link with any price as well. Or you can use a form. The form is included in launch flows just like this. I want to have somebody pay me. But by the way, anybody who wants to do this today live with the card, please. $9,999 like that and 99 cents. Add the checkout. Boom. That sent that product right there with $9,999. Easy enough. But I can also do that dynamically. If I just wanted to, I could send the product knowing its ID to the cart with a price. That's what I can do with both a link or with the toggles. So here, for example, I don't know what that product ID was. I'm just going to grab it because it's in plain view. The product ID is Spence without his glasses. It's 22229,404, right? So if I wanted to add that to the cart from a link, all I need to do is just build it manually or do it like this. And 229,404. And I can even change the price. And I can say, and donation equals, and let's make it 555,555. Okay. This should put that product in the cart, and in doing so, have the right price. And there it is. Okay. So I can have any product instantly added, super easy. That means that you don't need 50 products, because I can also change the name of custom product by putting a parameter in the link and say, call it, I don't know, meeting with Bernie. That's the new way of doing things. That's the fast way. Now imagine, besides this tool, and I'm going to wrap this up for you guys so you don't, but you're all still here, so it must be keeping you. Imagine this tool, the Launch Flows Dynamic Shortcode Builder, but this also applies for the other tools that I make. What if you're a fan of using spreadsheets, like Dr. Kerry Krieger, spreadsheet master, right? And he uses Airtable. Imagine that you just had the same thing for Excel or for Google Sheets that calculated based upon whatever you put in the other columns, the short code, and just spit it out. There you go. Take it one step further. Spence has got the AI support tool in your site, and you've got all of these pieces of information about your customers. The AI support tool could also self-generate. Wait for it. I got to do this. Wait for it. Dynamic products, dynamic pricing, dynamic information. Hold on. This deserves a whoa. What are you talking about, Spence? That's crazy. What do you mean? Well, let's walk through it. Okay. I'm getting silly. What I'm saying is I've already created this dynamic support tool. This tool can take in all kinds of post types and content, everything from post pages, media responses, products, sales, whatever. I can manually put in stuff here. I can tell it to think and act and do different things or parse different things or create different things. If I tell it that I want to create, oh, I'm doing a sale today. I'm selling, I don't know, magnesium supplements or something, or oh, I'm doing a sale today on the Fluent Community Customizer. Like, go ahead and make custom sales copy, make some new product labels, price it accordingly, and put this all together into the short codes that are already existing on a page. That's totally in my capability today. I can actually have it do all of the stuff that I need to do based upon my choices, my preferences, and even, like I've shown you before, I can even generate the voices, okay, in a mobile app or otherwise for what it is that I want it to create, okay? I said in this question, like, who are the people who have submitted questions? I want to send them something, right? And it answered me back. I even have, like we talked about, I made this really cool example of, to Mark's question, how to do a front end display. Why do I need a mobile app when I have the tools? This is demonstrating what it would look like. I have the tools to just build an interface where all my AI stuff shows up and I can view it, edit it, delete it. I can, if there's audio like there are down here, I can just listen to it in Spence's voice. Okay. Pause for question. If you're doing a paid event, can you use that process to dynamic? Yes. Yes. You got it. You see, I've got access to all the data I need inside of the site. I can use the tools to either report it to myself using high-end tools like Metoric, which I've talked about so often. Or you can report using the things that I'm showing you here. Like this is just one example, but Spence has the ability to, this took me this is one Big Bang Theory episode or one How I Met Your Mother episode, to create a mobile app that I can program with defaults to take any information I want and send it out to me on my phone or to my customer support person. Or to do this, I can have on the front end a custom input tool that doesn't require on a third-party service me to do anybody else. But when I submit this, you know, Tom Jones, tom@jones.com. My phone number is, 655-1234. What's my question? I'm interested to know if you have any supplements for a 58-year-old athletic guy who sits all day. Now, this tool can be used on the front and the back, custom way. This is just one of a multitude of ways I could take data in, including manually. But then I can have rules in place that are set up to customize what the output is. So for example, here, I have the ability to configure my AI support. So for example, if I look at the question box, I can configure all of the things. This is just Spence wrote this code of what it looks like, which is the type of response template it uses, who's the person responding, should it also generate an audio file, and so forth. Now, since I did that, and this says that the question's been submitted, now I've got something that comes in that I can either use manually on the back end or use my mobile device to see. So here's Tom Jones's question. It gives me this amazing format. It collected his info. It tells me his question. It gives me the generated response plus Sandy and everybody dynamically created custom links that have UTM variables for tracking for automation. And also will connect this person into the CRM. But it also, I'm exhausted. It also made an audio response. Spence. Now, imagine if I, as a service, am able to take all of this data, and if somebody's driving in their RV and they want to listen to Spence, they can not only hear the answer to the question sounding like I did, but then they can carry on the conversation if they want with the virtual Spence, who has access to the data in this site that gets better and better because it keeps indexing. I'm going to show you a tool that I'm using at the moment, but there's other things that I would be doing directly itself. And the tool is essentially LLMS text. It's, here it is. This is taking all of the data that I've told it to archive or index. Okay. And it's generating a file. This is the custom data of my business, anything I want it to know about, so that if an LLM like my own or another tool that I'm using as an LLM needs it, it's there instead of necessarily going to the internet. And as time goes on, these answers get better and better, and the people's response can be used to measure which ones got better sales, and loops and loops and loops. Okay. I'm going to call Uncle on for you guys because it's 11:15. I've just scratched the surface, folks. Just scratched the surface. Do yourselves a favor, because this is, I'm going to show one more screen. Do yourselves a favor. You run, do not walk to WP Launchify, and you go to the pricing tab. Now, you can just save time for the moment, use the Launch Kit bundle. These pre-made bundles, I promise these are going to be reformulated into this a la carte. Or you can just go here. Go for the monthly combo, watch what happens using the same tools I shared with you. It's programmed to empty the cart and put only the cool stuff you need in it. Freaking awesome. If I wanted to go annual and save, you get 12 months for the price of 10. Do that. Now, when you have a question, you are entitled to the community, to endless email, hopefully one question at a time, and the amazing hosting. When you do a client and you have a project, bring them in for a free call and I will help you close the sale, because what you are going to do is offer the exact same thing. $97, 97 combo for you as an implementer. That doesn't include you doing anything except you're going to set up the site with Spence and you're available for unlimited questions. When somebody wants stuff done, I want you to make a newsletter for me. I want you to generate my automations. I want you to actually make the site look pretty. I want you to do my whatever. You're going to go into this mode, the hands-on support mode. They can do an hour with you for $300, or they can do $1,250, a $2,500, a $5,000. The $5,000 is the one that everybody picks. Why? Because that's where I promise that I essentially commit for a month to make your business awesome. And it's not just going to be about the parts. It's not going to be just about the website. It's going to be about all the stuff that we've been talking about. And that's the stuff that you don't have to know or learn. I'm giving it to you wholesale. I'm the IKEA wholesale vendor. And you just have to know, hey, Spence, I got a client. We'll have a call. I'll sell them for you, or I'll help you to sell them. You follow my simplicity. You follow my model. You get $117 every month in and month out. You then can sell them with or without my hands-on support, your own support. I'll set up the newsletter. I'll set up your automation. I'll do your product sales page. I'll do the whatever. You've got them right where they want to be. And you've got me right where you need me. Because this is an open-ended, everything everybody can see. It's fair. They're using me as the platform. You have me as the platform. You've got you as the implementer. You're escaping the madness of the politics of WordPress, because why do you need that? You don't need 400 page builders. And if you like my pals that do other cool stuff, Mark, Kurt, Kevin, all that stuff's compatible with what I'm doing. Just avoid the nonsense. Finally, one of the things is about the things that I've been demonstrating for the software. Okay. I am the king, the evil genius of building stuff when people ask for it. So Bernie, Sandy, and any of you here know, you said, oh, Spence, this thing, wouldn't it be cool if I go, yeah, let me build that real quick. Because if you're using the parts that I've got in the bundle, I can manage it. And so one of the things that's happening is that because I'm now excommunicated by Pope Mark, or, Matt, I don't have to worry about pleasing anybody there. So now I am going to, this weekend, fix the launch kit interface. Finally. I love this page, but I hate this whole menu thing. This whole menu thing and all the games that I have to play, that was all because of Mullenweg and the WordPress.org. Doesn't matter anymore. You can get the plugin for me directly at the top of WP Launchify. This interface is going to turn into magic, so that imagine if you just went to the normal plugins thing and that deeply integrated with my stuff. And now you can have all the updated, curated, protected stuff just delivered in the same spot you'd expect it. You still get the benefit of the other features like the, hiding the crazy notices and the spam and all the rest. You get the licensing, you get all the simplicity, but I no longer have to worry what Mullenweg says, because he's clearly not interested in making the community better. And I don't want to deal with that. I want to just work on 24 hours a day, making cool stuff for people who see the value. And I don't care if anybody else wants to do it. If you want to do it, that's good enough for me, because I do a very nice job by not wasting energy or time on things or people that just don't align. Okay. I want to say thanks to everybody who's been my pal and supportive. A big thanks to Ann Stevenson specifically, who's been a huge friend, been in this since the beginning of my adventure and all my other stuff, my health and mindset, because she's been here since last May. But most everybody's been with me since the beginning. I want to say huge thanks to those of you like Sandy and Kurt and Mark and everybody else who's commented today, who's participated. I see great things for those of us human beings in 2025 who realize the power of us as individuals is greater than anything that the market forces bear, or the oligarchs bear, or the politics bear. And I don't care what your politics are. We're really all just human beings going on a big adventure. So I pledge to be there for you no matter what. There was a couple of you who this year had some troubles I hopefully helped you out of, because money is not my goal. My goal is to build something that when I'm done with this adventure, I can look back and say, I helped more people than I didn't. And I hope that you have similar aspirations. I'm here for you. I love you guys all. And I look forward to doing the new release of the Fluent Community Customizer today, as well as the launch kit and the other upgrades. I've got so much more to share. I'll see you then.